introduced some legislation that would ban furries. Now, if you have seen the news lately, you have seen in the fetish world people who dress up in furry costumes. And these are not like mascots at your college or your university. These are really weird things that people actually think they're animals. And so, anyway, before this becomes a problem in Oklahoma, our next guest says, you know what, we got to do something about this. Representative Humphrey, it is an honor to have you on the program today.
Hey, I'm honored. Absolutely, pretty excited. I got a lot of hate mail going on with the furry community. They seem to think that I am a tyrant of some sort, but I think that it's time that we speak out and stop the nonsense.
Well, let's talk about what your legislation would do and who it applies to.
Well, what I was looking at, and so this thing, I'd heard about this for about 2 years. The first time I heard about a furry, I thought it was a joke. I laughed and no way. And then I kept getting reports of teachers putting litter boxes in their room. And what began to happen, I began to get a lot of reports of kids that spoke out against this or would want to move and not, they're saying, hey, this has disrupted me and I can't focus on my studies and I want to move from here. Like one kid, they got onto the kid for even saying that they wanted to move and said they were being rude to the person that thought they were a cat. And the kid come back in and said, hey, you got to move me because I'm allergic to cats. And they were going to try to suspend that kid. I thought that was genius, but they were going to try to suspend that kid. And then a friend of mine, really close family friend, his grandson was at a school and they were, one of the school students was crawling on their hands and knees, collar on them, being led by their boyfriend with a leash on them. Now this is going down the hall and my friend's grandson and another friend of his started barking at them, pretending like they were dogs and barking at them. And they were going to expel them, discipline the ones that were playing around and barking. And at that point in time, I said, hey, this is getting out of hand. And I need to file a bill to say that, if you want to be a furry, do it on your own time, do it on your own dime, do it at your house. Don't do it at on the state's time and on the state's dime. Don't do it at school. It's disrupting school. And so I wrote this bill. And where I'm getting a lot of pushback on it, I said call the kids' parents, call these students' parents, and if they won't pick them up, call the dog pound or call the animal control. And I think that's what really fired up a bunch of people.
But I don't understand why people would be upset. I mean, if in fact they identify as animals, Mr. Representative, that's what you would do is that you would call the animal control people and they would take these individuals away. And I guess hopefully they would check them for, ticks or fleas or, rabies.
Sure. I started to put that we would vaccinate and neuter, but I thought that might be a bridge too far. So I backed up and just said animal control.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. You're making my point was if you want to act like an animal, are we really going to treat you like an animal, And so again, when you just bring a little common sense to it, you can see real quick that they back up when you actually even mention that, oh, okay, we're going to treat you like an animal. How dare you? How dare you attack kids? How dare you bully kids? And, oh, you ought to read some of the stuff that's threatening and call me everything. And I mean, really horrific statements made towards me. And again, many people are saying this is not a problem. I was at a superintendent's meeting the other day. Most of them had not had it happen in school, but they were all aware that it was happening in other places. And so, again, we have had this. I have received so many emails thanking me and giving me examples of how this has happened to either their grandkid or their kids and how they've had to remove their kids from school and put them in private because of this practice and things like that. And so, again, a lot of people want to deny that it's going on. A lot of people don't want to believe that it's going on. And I can tell you just by filing this bill and the attention that it's gotten not just here, but actually worldwide. We've actually, seen even out of this nation, but especially here in the nation, we have brought a whole new attention to the problems of furries. And again, I can disagree with your lifestyle. We all have disagreements on things. That's fine. But here's what I tell people. In the privacy of your own home, in the privacy of your own bedroom, what you do is your business. But when you bring it out on the public street, when you bring it out into the school, then you've made it my business and you've made it all the rest of the public. So if you don't want your furry business publicized, keep your furry business in your own bedroom and in your own home.
I agree. And I think this is a brilliant thing. And again, you've got some kid who identifies as a dog, and you don't want that kid going around and sniffing your child's butt in the middle of the classroom like dogs normally do.
Oh, I already like you. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yes.
It's just common sense.
Well, and again, here's what I've laughed. So many people get so indignified over you would really call the dog pound. I'm like, look here, we're making a point, and if we want to, this bill's going to be difficult. I am going to try to get this bill through, but it's going to be difficult. But if we need to change that language to say to get this person some mental health, and people are like, well, they're not mental health just because they're trying to pretend. No, look it up. It's actually a mental health issue. You can look that up, and so it is. And again, if we want to change that language to not call the pound and get some mental health evaluation, we can change that. But at the end of the day, I think most average Americans would all agree that we have seen our country, the moral decline, just the ignorance of the woke community has reached a level to where we've got to quit worrying about offending people. We've got to quit worrying about being attacked. Most legislators are not going to endure the attacks that you have to take to do this. I don't mind it. But again, that's we're going to have to get to that level where, hey, you're offensive to me, and I'm going to stand my ground and say this is insane, and we're not going to allow it.
No. Look, in all seriousness here, this is an important issue, and it goes back to really the unraveling of our society and these sex and gender norms, and the response from the other side here, Mr. Representative, is very telling. Because if this was not a big deal, if this was really not happening in classes, you wouldn't hear any arguments from the other side.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. If this was nothing, then you wouldn't hear one bit of rebuttal. But instead, look at what has happened. I mean, this has went nationwide. It's huge. You're hearing how big of an idiot I am. My deal is that may be true, but this idiot is telling the truth. And it's hit right on. And again, this is a massive problem. And like you said, it's unraveling our society. We're at a point where we're going to have to decide who we are, and we're going to have to make a stand and, stand up for what we believe. And these people are trying to unravel society, whether it's race baiting, whether it's, transgender, sex, whatever it is. They're trying to unravel it, and we've got to make a stand. I want to be respectful to others, but at the same time, they're not respectful to me. So if you run something like this, you got to have pretty thick skin, and you got to have a good sense of humor, and you got to be able to defend yourself. And unfortunately, I got all three. So
yes, you do.
I'm having a blast with this bill. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. And I will tell you this, regardless whether I get the bill passed or not, we have shined the light on the furries, and they are growling, scratching, and they're pretty mad. So,
but let me just warn you: if you see one of them raise up their hind leg, you might want to take a few steps back. That's
absolutely, absolutely. I tell you what, I told somebody the other day: the best thing they can do is go out and talk about it, because we had a guy from Ireland, I think, on one news station.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world they got Ireland on there? Some guy in a dog suit in Ireland talking about how I didn't understand the furry community and that they really didn't think they were dogs or animals, that they were only pretending. And I'm like, you're a grown man in a suit on the news. You know what I'm saying? And you don't see a problem with that. Just keep talking because you're just making my point for me. You know what I mean? That's the longer they talk, I hope they do consume the news, and I hope they do, stand up and talk, because the more they talk, the less I have to, because I'm just sitting back going, see there you go. That's what I'm talking about right there,
All right.
And so I think people are seeing that.
Well, we have to leave it there. Representative Humphrey, you're a good man, and we appreciate you taking a stand for what's right, what's wrong, and we're going to be following this legislation. Good luck to you.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me on.
All